Well, welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of We're all good to see the morning glow, Lord. Real men being men. Welcome to another episode of Real Men Being Men. We're gonna go around the panel right now. We got a great broadcast lineup for you. If you don't mind doing so, I want all y'all to share this broadcast. I want y'all to share the broadcast, share the broadcast, and share the broadcast. We got a great broadcast lined up for you tonight. We got what we call four square conversation. We got four squares. Now, she might say something that we might not get to all four of them. He might put up two fingers, sometimes put up three fingers. I don't know what he's gonna do, but that's he might say might not get to all the topic. He said two. See, we only got two this time, but we're gonna get to as many as we can. It's called Four Square Conversation. But what we're gonna do right now is go around the panel, give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves. Gonna start with Don. Don, tell everybody who you are.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Don Sherrod. I'm a local Atlanta minister and musician, actor.
Good deal. Cheat.
Man, I'm just excited that Don Sherrod is not frozen. But I am Rashid calling from the Detroit, Michigan. Let's go.
Let's do it. Nathan, tell everybody who you are, where you're hailing from.
My name is Nathan Cole from Michigan. I am a youth pastor and author, traveler, humanitarian, missionary, all those wonderful things.
Good deal. And we have, by way of the phone line, we have Cornelius. Cornelius, tell everybody who you are, where you're calling from.
Good evening, everyone. This is Elder Cornelius calling from Lawrenceville, Georgia, originally from Detroit, Michigan. Let's go.
Let's go. And we also have
Let's go. Let's go.
You are where you're hailing from.
Hey, this is Tucson. I ain't gonna tell you where I'm from.
Okay. It's one of them secrets. We got one of them secrets. Now, what we're about to do, and we got a few more people that actually supposed to be joining us tonight. So I'm hoping that they actually come in as what I told Sheet. I had a surprise for him. So I hope this person actually shows up. And when he does come in, it's gonna blow him out the water. It's really gonna blow him out the water. And Cornelius, I promise you, it's gonna blow you out the water, man. You're gonna take your shoes and throw them across the room. Watch what I tell you. I'm hoping they come. But listen, we're gonna get a young lady came to me, and this is the first square is kind of close because a young lady, she came to me and she was telling me about her son. And her son is in a situation. He's actually for the second time, really, truth be told, has gotten himself locked up. And he's gonna be doing a little time this time. And she came to me and she said, I can't go and visit. I can't go visit. And she said, I can't go visit him. I can't go through that of having to go through those things they have to go through in order to get in to visit and all these things. And so she asked me, what should she do? And honestly speaking, I didn't really know what to tell her. I did tell her something, and I hope it helped her. But my question to the first square is, who really do the time? Even though he's locked up, who really does the time when someone is incarcerated? Is it just that person that's behind the bars, or is it more?
No, it's everybody. You impact everyone in your circle when you get locked up, because we're faced with those types of decisions. It's a lot of people that don't want to see their loved one behind a cage or in a cage like that. It's understandable, and they send you through a lot also when you go see them, and it's taxing. It's heartbreaking. And we all have to adjust. Your family has to adjust to you not being there. There's some things that are not being taken care of because of your absence. And there's a whole lot of feelings behind that. And different people handle it in different ways. So I think it's very shallow and narrow-minded to think that the only person that's affected or impacted by you going to jail is you. Nah, you impacting a whole lot of people. That's one of the reasons why we make decisions not only for ourselves, especially as men. We're making decisions for a whole lot of people.
Yes.
And so when you make the decision to get yourself caught up in a situation like that, you gotta really think about that. You have to consider that because you're hurting your parents, your mother, your wife, your children, and so many people that depend on you on from day to day. You get locked up, man, you're probably gonna lose your job. You're gonna lose a whole lot of things that that your family was depending on.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to make alternate plans. And so it's a monster, man. Now, me personally, even though it's tough, I would have to press through and go visit any of my loved ones that find themselves incarcerated. And I'm not knocking anyone who feels like they can't, but for me, even if it's tough, I gotta press through and do it for the sake of that person that's incarcerated, because I can only imagine it's probably real crazy to go through that and feel like you're by yourself because you don't have visitors.
And she was saying that the whole process that she have to go through in order to get inside the institution, she says she said beneath her. I don't want to use that terminology, but it's disheartening. Don, what do you say to that? Who really does the time when someone is locked up? What do you say to that, Don?
Well, sure, I would agree, of course, with what Rasheed says about everybody, all the family members and other people in your circle are affected by it, and your many times if it's your wife, or your parents, they particularly worry about you. Because a lot of stuff goes on in the jail when you're locked up, so they don't know what kind of intimidation you have to go through, but they can't. They're helpless. It's a situation where people are helpless, and they really want to always, if it's your child, you always want your child to be safe and free and thriving and those kinds of things. So it really does affect a whole lot of people, and but the other side of it, the person in jail really want somebody to come and see them. They really want somebody to be there. And of course, it's a difficult situation. The sister might have to get somebody at least to go with her, to just to give a little moral support. That might be good if she could find someone. We're just trying to talk about the situation. If she could find some moral support, somebody to go with her, drive up there with her, go as far as they could with her in that situation, that might help her out. And then again, it depends on how long the person's got to be locked up for and what the offense is, because there may be those special instances where a little time might be the best thing. A little distance may be the best thing. There are a lot of little variables in this.
Yeah, it is. And it's, I know it really weighed on her and weighs on her a lot to have her son away. But, like what she said, it was really heartbreaking to me to hear her say that she can't go. Not that she didn't, and I don't think it's that she didn't want to go or don't want to go. It's just what she have. Nathan, what do you say to that? Because that's tough, brother. That's tough. What's on your heart, Nathan?
Yeah, I'd agree with what's already been said. That the person that is going to prison or going to be incarcerated is not the only person affected. Obviously, I think family members, friends, we're all social beings and social creatures, and we're all connected to one another. No man is an island. So I think everything that we do and say impacts in some way, whether directly or indirectly, people around us. So I think absolutely, if someone's in that situation, it's going to affect family members, friends, community members. I guess, like for me, just this topic causes me to feel some sadness and grief, just because I know that our country has such a problem with mass incarceration, and I don't know the specifics in this, in this particular scenario. I don't know if this was legitimate or what the situation is here specifically. But I think, generally speaking, in the United States, we have less than 5% of the world's population, and yet we have about 25% of the world's incarcerated population. So we also have, I believe, about 1/3 of the world's women prison population.
Yeah.
So the statistics are just staggering, and I think we need a fundamental reworking of our thinking when it comes to law enforcement and criminal justice, and just the concept of justice in general in America. Not every problem is going to be solved by putting someone in a cage for an extended period of time. There are other words that are associated with justice besides just retribution. There's restoration, there's rehabilitation, there's reintegration, there's reparation, there's all sorts of other things that we need to consider when we're talking about justice and what the right thing to do in a situation is. So I think we need a fundamental reworking of that paradigm as a country. But to that mother, again, I don't know the specific situation. I don't feel qualified to speak on it with specifics because I don't know the situation. But I know that if I were in a cell, I would want my mom to come visit me. So I would say, make whatever effort is reasonable and possible to remain connected and to provide encouragement and hope.
Exactly. And the thing about it, this is his second time. This is his second time, and I don't know her experience throughout the first time and how often she went, but it's weighing on her. It's really weighing on her. Donald Toussaint, we're asking the question: who really do time when someone is incarcerated? Young lady, she came to her son is locked up for the second time, and she said she can't go. Say she can't go and see him. Say she can't. And I tried to talk her, to her, go visit her son. Honestly, I didn't want to know what he did. I didn't want to know what he did. I didn't even ask that question because, I don't want to look at him in any kind of way. So I didn't go down that road. But Donna, who does the time? Is it just that person, or is it the family? Is it who does the time? We can't hear you, brother. Unmute your phone. Unmute yourself.
How about that?
We can hear you, but we can't see you, brother.
Now I pressed, I didn't disappear. I'm gonna get it together.
Now
yeah. Look, everybody suffers, man.
Bro.
Look,
is that Don Toussaint or Don Carlos? Which Don?
Exactly.
Don is switch.
Let's sing.
But who really do the
Who
time?
talking to? Look, I did I'm a jack of trades, master of none. Ministered in the prison system. And everybody, I mean the whole family, the in-laws, the grandpas, and the mom, the sisters and brothers, they all locked up in that cell with that inmate. And they all suffer. Because if you don't have your father, you're in a predicament too. I had a guy, he would sit in there and he would pray and he would sing. He had a scripture and he said, Brother Toussaint, he said, I want you to call my wife and pray with her. Now listen to this. It took me about 2 weeks. Because I'm like somebody had just said, I never asked them what they're in there for, because that's not my business, because that's not what I go in there for. Okay. So it took me about 2 weeks. So I called her up and she listened to me and I told her how I got the number. I'm trying to make this short. And finally, she had an opportunity to talk and she said, I appreciate you wanting to pray for me. But I want my divorce because when he shot me, and I was like looking like Boo Boo the Fool, and she said, and that's not the first time he shot me.
Wow.
And I was like, ma'am, I'm sorry. So you see, there's things that happen in people's lives that when they're in the prison system. If you go in there, especially to minister or whatever the case, you don't know. It's not your business. But families are suffering because of that one person did something. Everybody that cared about them or they cared about are in there for every day that they're there. That's
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Cornelius, what do you say to that, man? Who's really doing the time?
You know, bear with me on this because I got a couple of comments. I don't want to try to be long, but some things on my heart with this as well, because I've experienced it just recently. You know, my son been locked up again, you know, going through some things. So I'm just being transparent here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this real men being men, so I don't mind being transparent.
Yes, sir.
So in that, you know, when he recently messed up with this, you know, it hurt me because at the end of the day, I've told him, I've talked to him. It wasn't that I just shunned away from him, none, not just, you know, and Ryan, you know, I'm a man of God. So if God shows me something, I always try to encourage. I don't quote a bunch of scriptures at him and all that stuff. But what I do try to encourage him is to get into God. But when he was locked up the first time, I told him, son, redeem the time because the days are evil.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get out, it's time to focus on God to restore your life, you know, and because these times out here is rough, but still he didn't listen. So then he got himself in more trouble, kept going. Then he got locked up again. But then, by the grace of God, God showed him favor. His job bailed him out, you know, and they got out of there because they wanted a lot of money for that. Now, for me, I didn't have that type of money, but it hurt because I couldn't sleep that night. I'm praying, I'm asking God to cover him, keep him in that jail system and all these things. And sure enough, he ended up getting out. So he told me that he had a new perspective on some things. So sometimes it takes that to get a person in a position to where it shakes them up, you know, to focus on, to try to renew their life. But at the end of the day, everyone goes through it with their family from my own personal experience. And as a man of God, and I pray, but I don't want to see my son locked up in jail.
Yeah.
But it's my frustration is when I'm telling you something, trying to encourage you, that I know that God showing your life to me as a man of God and got that, and you trying to encourage your child to stay out of these troubles. Don't put yourself in situations that where it's going to cause you to go down that route. So, you know, these are the things that so when it happens, then it hurts you because they didn't listen, first of all. Then you get a little upset because they didn't listen, you know, and in that, but at the end of the day, you try to continue to have that forbearance and love towards your child. Now, for the young lady in doing that, I get it, but my question is this, back to you, because I know with the pandemic going on right now, you're not allowed to enter to places no more. I don't know if the jail system is doing that. Like right now, I minister at the nursing homes. We can't even minister at the nursing homes no more. I minister at the prisons. I can't even go to the prison house no more because of the pandemic. These are the things that where it's a lot of stuff that they're blocking us from going to do. So I'm just curious, is it because of her hurt with the situation with her child, or is it that they're blocking her from going to see it? And that's just my question with that.
I think it's not so much them blocking her, and I don't know what that situation is like, but she said that she couldn't go. She said that she couldn't go, and I'm thinking it's because of the whole situation with him being locked up on the second. Like I said, this is the second time, man, and the first time may have been a little rough on her, man, and she just can't deal with it again. Can't deal with it. Jamie, what's on your heart? Who is actually doing the time?
You know, I would say the individual that's actually locked up, definitely. Now, who's impacted by the scenario? I think everyone has already stated that that's anyone that's aware of the person. You know, that's someone that may have held you in high regard. They now have to deal with the fact that someone they held in high regard is, you know, wasn't who they thought they was. The people that just everyone that knows the individual one way or another. But it isn't one of those things where they are like in bondage. And I wanted to add, because I'm a firm believer that when people are locked up, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're in bondage. And I'm saying that because it's a hard thing mentally for some people from what I've heard. But my thought is that's what a lot of people find their freedom. That's where they find themselves. When they lose themselves, they find themselves. A lot of things take places there. But let me say this, Raheem. When you think about someone that's going to prison, it's something that led them there. I didn't hear what you said about this mother, but I'm going to say this for those people who have to deal with those type issues. You know, if a person has been disobedient and whatever all along and they end up in jail, that's different than someone who might have gone to jail because they was hanging with the wrong crowd or whatever the case may be. There's a lot that goes into that. I don't think there's one answer that I would give as far as how I would view it, but it's definitely not something that anyone goes there. I would just recommend that the parent go run behind them. You know, there's some things there. I think Brother Tristan or someone alluded to it. Sometimes people need to learn something in that place.
Okay. Leonard, what do you say to that, Leonard? And good evening, everybody. If I know a few other people came in. Want to say hello to everybody that just joined us. But Leonard, what do you say to that, man? Who is really doing the time? Yes, one person is locked up behind the bars, but is that the only person doing the time?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
The person doing the person that's actually locked up is the person doing the time. You may feel bad for them, but they doing their time. You know, I mean, I'm not sure. I know I heard you all discussing, I believe it was a situation or an issue related to this question. Because I didn't catch that part of the conversation about the person that was locked up and things like that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you who it is. It's a young lady. She came to me, and I'm trying to give you the quick version here so we can keep it moving. Her son is locked up again for the second time. I think she visited him the first time, and it must have been a little tough on her to actually have to go through that process of all the stuff you have to do to go in to visit and all the stuff you do during the visitation. Right. And she told me she can't. She said she can't. And I try to tell her, to go and that's her son go, but she said she can't go and visit him. Say she can't do it. And so I asked the question, who is really doing the time? Is it just him because he's behind those bars, or is that effect also on everybody else in the family, in the household?
Well, the only person doing the time is the one that got it. So everybody else is just feeling sorry or has some type of emotional feeling about it. But ain't nothing about that person that's incarcerated related to what you're doing. You're grieving. That's what you're doing. You ain't doing no time. You're grieving the loss of someone. But at least they're not dead.
I can understand where you're coming from when you say that, but at the same time, I can't say that I agree with it. And the reason why, because I know this lady, she stood before me. And I know what she was going through. Was it grieving? Yeah, it could very well be. That could be a part of it as well. But a part of her was lost because her son is incarcerated. A part of her is lost. Now, what if? And this is a totally different situation here. What if he has small kids, and now the kids are not able to see their father for X amount of time? What do you say to that? And Mary, I think Mary is with us as well. Mary, I'm gonna come to you right after She, what's on your heart? She, you there?
Yeah, I was trying to unmute it, having trouble. But yeah, that's one of the things that I mentioned. The small children are devastated. It's not just the grief. They don't just feel bad. Their father is gone. And so their whole world is turned upside down. They have to figure something out. The mother has to figure something out. The other family members have to step up. I'm quite sure. What if he was the breadwinner in the house and the wife didn't have a job? So now you're scrambling trying to figure out finances and how the ends are going to meet. The kids don't have their father to interact with, to impart to them, to teach them wisdom and do what fathers do by teaching and disciplining their children. This is a vital part of children's development, and they absolutely need that. So now they're going to have to try to get it through other means. And so that definitely impacts. So I don't look at it like they're just grieving or they just feel bad. I think it's deeper than that. I think they are actually doing the time. They're looking forward to when that person is going to return. I know people who have loved ones incarcerated, and they're counting down the days. They're counting down the months and the years of when they're going to return. So we can get this nightmare over with. But every single day while he's locked up, it's a nightmare for them. It's not just well, we thought about you and we shed a couple of tears and now we're moving on. No, to some people they can't really move on like that. Now, if you're not really directly impacted, maybe it's because your relationship is not as significant. But when you consider, like, if it's a friend and oh man, that was messed up what happened to old boy, okay, that person is grieving. But we're talking about children, we're talking about wives, we're talking about parents. Yeah, man, they're doing more than just grieving. They're deeply impacted by that.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of layers involved in this thing, man. So yeah, Sheet, I see exactly where you're going with it. Nathan, what's on your heart?
Just wanted to, I think I threw this information in the chat, but I don't know if the audience can see it. So I just wanted to recommend a couple books that I dug into recently. One is Rethinking Incarceration with a subtitle of Advocating for Justice That Restores by Dominique Dubois-Gilliard. And then also I would recommend Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. They recently had a Hollywood film that was based off that book as well. I'm also, I haven't read this one yet, but I'm digging into a book called Beyond Retribution. I think it's by Christopher Marshall. But these are just some good places to start with digging into this topic of incarceration. Again, I think it goes beyond just the specific scenario that we're talking, and we really do have a larger systemic problem in our country, and I think we really need to rethink how we do criminal justice, particularly in Black communities, communities of color, minority communities in our country that have been over-policed and targeted and profiled, and you see the numbers of specifically Black men that are behind bars due to some of these practices and the conditions in urban centers, and how that affects families, how that affects generations, how that affects communities, and how that perpetuates some of the intergenerational problems that we're seeing. And so we really need to take a hard look at this, I think, as a culture, as a society, and look at alternate ways of addressing issues, and even looking at some of our police models and rethinking those as well.
We got a few other callers on the line. As a matter of fact, I think my baby girl, Miri, are you there? Miri?
I am.
Good deal. Miri, we're talking about incarceration. This is our first square. And let me give the phone number, 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. If anybody's interested, we've got quite a few people that's tuning in right now. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input. 678-381-1973. We're talking about when someone is incarcerated, who's actually doing the time. Is it just that person that's incarcerated, or is it the whole family? Who is actually doing the time, Mary? What do you say to that?
I kind of agree with everyone. I think the person who's doing the hardest amount of time is the person that's currently in jail or prison, but I think everybody involved is still suffering. I don't know, never been in prison, never been in jail, don't want to go, but so I don't really, I feel like I can't speak on something when I don't have both sides.
Okay. Let's go to
both experiences.
Absolutely.
But I don't really know how to answer that.
Okay, that's fine. Kurt, you with us?
Kurt? Yeah, I'm right here, Dolo.
Okay,
right
good deal. Kurt, we're asking a question. A young lady came to me, man. Her son is incarcerated for the second time. First time, I guess she went to visit him and all those things. And the second time, now that he's incarcerated again, she says she can't go and visit him. She says she can't go. She can't, put herself through that. So we're asking the question: Who really does the time? Is it just that person that's incarcerated, or Kurt, is it the whole family?
Brother, it's funny to me that you bring this up after our conversation. it is my belief from working in the system that everybody who has a care and a concern for that fellow inmate is doing time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the truth be told, when you're a mother or a father, you have to lay down at night and know that your baby is in a place where he might not make it through the night.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing time. When you're a mother, father, brother, sister, cousin, niece, nephew, who care about this person, and you gotta go to visit, the process that you have to go through.
Yes, that's what you were saying too.
Get to that visiting room
Mm-hmm.
can be so demoralizing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so invasive and violating
Mm-hmm.
that you feel like you done broke the law.
Mm-hmm.
Then last but not least, Raheem, something that we didn't get the chance to talk about because, you know, we was praying for the young lady earlier, that I realized too, is, you know, when I worked in the system, man, certain correctional officers will treat you as the visitor like it's all your fault that this person is an inmate.
Mm-hmm.
And that is enough to make person say, man, I'm not coming back here.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back here. So it's in my humble opinion. And when you take that rod and that wagon, you take everybody who have a care and concern for your safety, for your life, for your liberty, for your happiness, man. You take all of those folks with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true. That's very true. Tucson, what's on your heart, brother? Jamie, coming to you next.
Mute. There's some of them that, man, you'd be surprised. I've been in there and when they just coming in, you hear, my boy back. Like they coming in the club or something. Because they don't have to pay no bills. Some of them, they have problems adjusting to society because of their past records.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody won't hire them. So they got free medical and dental care. I had a guy told me one time, he said, I got to go get my teeth fixed. I'm finna go to jail. Because taxpayers pay for that. But you know, some of them, the system has captured them.
Mm-hmm.
And their families, some of them have gotten to the point that they had I had to go to a grandfather's house because of the grandson being there. And he said, I know where he at. He said, I'm not going visiting because he done just about took everything I got trying to keep him out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
They drain, it's a draining of relationships and relatives that get tired of the repetitious effects of the system.
Mm-hmm.
That once you get in there, once you start getting and don't get the 3 strikes, you're out. You done. I mean, as far as society is concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that mama that sees her child, that just go in there, and then if she goes there and she visits him, and then when she sees him, he all beat up because somebody done jumped on him. in prison or half killed him. It's a heartbreaking situation.
Yeah.
So she's like, I just can't take that no more.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens every day. Every day.
Now y'all know that and she said something about this. Y'all know we gotta extend this one right here to the at least 1 hour. We gotta stay with this one right here because there's so much stuff that we need to cover in this one that 30 minutes is not gonna do it justice. Jamie, what's on your heart?
You know, I'm listening to a topic that could be very sensitive depending on how one views it. And I'm looking at a topic that could be very easily addressed, depends on one's position and faith. And I say that because there's this parable about the son. I think Toussaint just kind of touched on it, that asked for the inheritance and went out into the world. Well, that's really not much different than that disobedient son that ends up in jail. I always say the son that went out into the world, it isn't such a far place. It could actually be the jailhouse. That's where he ends up at. But depending on how that person views that, some people may see it. I think my brother Leonard wrote in text, his mother told him ahead of time that she wasn't coming.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what a person violated to get there, there may be some people that won't come. There may be some people that while you're there, you're calling, I need this and I need that, you may not get it. Like that mother, she went the first time, but whatever it was that her experience, she said she wasn't going back. There are some things that we go through to get us where we are. And in life, for someone that end up in prison, people are going to deal with that differently. And I still say that the only person that's truly locked up is that one that's behind the bars, because when someone dies, there's emotions that you're going to go through, but we can't or shouldn't associate that with confinement because it's something that we have ties, but it's not the same thing. When that person is in there, they're in there for a reason. It's like a divorce. Those children are going to go through something, even though their mother and father might be in different locations. So I don't see making a tie that close to someone being incarcerated. I like to make that emotional difference in the things you go through, because I wouldn't want to think that someone felt like they were in jail every time someone else went.
Well, see, one of the things that I'm having an issue with that part of it is when you're dealing with the little ones and the children, and you want them to live an adult life. They're not there yet. Only thing they know is daddy's not home. My brother's not home. My mother, whoever it is that's incarcerated, is not home, and they're missing a person to that level. I mean, it's so much tied into this. Let me go to Cornelius. Cornelius, what's on your heart?
Yeah, man. You know what I was thinking when you I was thinking about the young lady too, and some things across my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I began to think about back when I was going to the women's prison and the nursing homes minister. And one of the biggest issues I found out in those two places I've been ministering is that when you feel abandoned and folks give up on you, it hurts that individual.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes they go through their things, they whatever situations they dealing in life and stuff they experience, and they constantly find themselves getting in trouble or whatever the case may be. But when they feel like their loved ones don't want to see them or give up on them, it hurts them even more. And that's what I heard a lot in the women's prison I ministered at, and also in the nursing home. Because even the elderly, when the people they'll drop their elderly off at the nursing home and people won't even go see them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it hurts them. And I've heard them say that, and that for her, and I get her pain because like Jamie just said, people handle things so much different. And I believe in her pain, she just don't want to experience that pain of like, you going through this, you keep going, so you shut down because you don't want to see that person. You don't want to feel that hurt, so you close off. You follow me? You shut it down because you don't want to feel the hurt of this person constantly going through that because it's hurting you. And that's what we mean by when it affects the whole family, because that person will shut down to you because they don't want to be hurt. They don't want them scars in their heart and different things like that. So they'll close off. and then it affects that person because they feel like they done shut down to them. So it's a big thing there, man, that it affects the whole family when a person constantly finds himself getting in trouble. And that's just my take on it.
Good deal. Don, what's on your heart? Curtis, coming to you next.
Well, you know, I don't think that our job is to try to necessarily categorize the kind of pain that the person who is not incarcerated will feel as opposed to the one that is incarcerated. I don't, you know, we could get into semantics about that. And that all has to do with relationships that the parents have with the son or daughter, all those things going on. But I think we all agreed on the fact that it hurts. You know, it hurts to different degrees. You know, because some people, I said, well, now I've been telling this all along. He needs to be there now for a while, okay? Because you know, so they'll feel that, and some feel, you know, that thing about, you know, my child is locked up here. I don't know. I don't want my child hurt, you know, and all those things are going on. So it's really, it's we know that it's a difficult thing, and of course, as the brother was saying earlier, brother was talking about the different reasons why our system is like it is, and I think that's one issue. The reasons to, you know, to try to change our system, our penal system, but the fact remains that people are going to be locked up, and then people are going to have feelings behind that situation, and I think somebody said that person could feel, you know, I was just rejected. I'm just a total mess up, and here I am. And so even in that situation, sometimes there's redemption available near. I've heard people say that they have come to Christ. You know, there are people who legitimately come to Christ and stay with Christ. Many come to Christ when they're there, and then they get out, and you know, they have a lot of temptations and things the other way. But some people say their whole life was changed because of that experience. Not to say that it's right for them to be locked up to get saved, but you know, life has its consequences. Sometimes people get locked up unjustifiably, but we have to believe in a God that's going to deal with that person's situation, no matter what's going on. And it's just very difficult. And I just want to say one other thing about the parent. You know, she might want to consider, I'm just saying that she might want to consider, you know, just talking this through with somebody. You know, I know she's trying to talk it through maybe with you guys, and just to really face what it is that's bothering her the most. Is it the embarrassment? You know, is it the hurt? Is it the fear? Whatever, and just look at maybe those, you know, alternatives that she could have. If you don't do this, what will you do? You know, so she's got to look at all those angles of it, I think.
Good deal. Kurt, what's on your heart, brother?
The prison industrial complex is real. Folks want to act like it's not, but I'm telling you, it's real. I did a study on it my senior year of college. A lot of folks don't know that, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be off by a state setting south, but if I'm not mistaken, the first real prison was established in either New Jersey or Pennsylvania. And I could be off because it might even be in Connecticut. But here's the story, fun fact. The first prison ever established wasn't just for the criminals. It's for the criminal's whole family. It was a mine. And to add even more to the fun fact, it wasn't established for white collar crime. It was established for basically what we would call blue collar crime or petty crime. Meaning my son
if I had died and my son was put in a position that he had to provide for the family, and the family was starving, and let's say he stole a loaf of bread, they would come and get the whole entire family, chain them together and put them in the mine. That's what the original prison was set for. But I heard the brother say something about the film out of Texas. What happened was the prison industrial complex shifted, and they saw where they could make money off of inmates. That is why inmates are paid an upward amount, I think is 75 cents a day.
Mm-hmm.
It was another way to get free labor as a result of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation, and then the added signing of the compromise of, I think it's 1873. So that's when the prison industrial complex really started to excel, because it was all money. Now, the film that the brother was talking about out of Texas, I cannot remember the name of the film, but it was based on a young lady. And they lived in the projects. And see, what some folks don't know, because everybody don't read, one, two, if you can hide a given situation of corruption and you're the person in charge of that corruption, you're going to hide it. What they were doing was, in the state of Texas, they were giving more money to municipalities for arrest. So what was happening was the police would go into these projects, these low-income areas, and they would pull these raids. Oftentimes, they would raid these houses, and they would raid areas where they knew that there was a drug presence.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't get any drugs out of the house, or if the house was, let's say, pseudo clean, meaning they didn't find anything, then some drugs from the locker, from the evidence locker, all of a sudden appeared in somebody's house or on somebody's person. And what is really crazy is that you have to understand, we have to understand in this modern day and time, how far up the chain that goes.
Okay, good deal. Let me pull some more people in, Kirk.
Let me just close with this right here. A lot of us ain't paid no attention to it. But there's a judge out there in that Midwest. They just sentenced them to 26 years in prison. Why? Because he was sentencing little young juvenile offenders so aggressively that his time wasn't even matching the mandatory time on the books. Why was that? Because the judge was getting a kickback from the prison industrial complex saying, we need to have these cells filled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna go to She, and after that, Nathan, I'm coming to you next. She, what's on your heart?
Man, I just gotta say, wow, to what Curtis just said, and I'm paying attention. Nathan is really beating this or sounding this horn that I think is extremely important, and I don't want us to miss this. We have a major problem in this country with mass incarceration.
Yes. And
it's unjust. And I don't want us to assume that just because someone is incarcerated, that they're this hardened criminal. A lot of people are wrongly convicted. A lot of people are have sentences that are extreme, that are completely ridiculous. We're dealing with a case now where there's a guy who was charged with assault. He beat somebody up. He was a black dude, beat up a white dude. Man, he is doing 50 to 80. 50 to 80 years in prison. Now, where's the justice in that? And we're scrambling as a ministry trying to figure out how we're going to help this guy. But this is a major issue in our society right now. There are people who are on drugs getting jail time when they probably need to get rehabilitated. I mean, some people don't need to go to jail. Why is jail always the answer to every issue? I think it's a lazy mindset that we have, but I think it's also an agenda, like Curtis has alluded to, and like Nathan has alluded to. And these are things that we have to fix in our society, because we're taking fathers away from their children and husbands away from their wives. And, you know, let's not just assume that just because someone is in jail, that they're such a bad person and there's no hope for them. And, you know, they're getting what they deserve. First of all, as Christians, as believers, we need to make sure that we have a heart of compassion and be loving. And, you know, the scripture talks about blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. And so we need to be about the business of being merciful. So it's important that, and one more point I'll make, it's important that we highlight and that we acknowledge that this not only affects the person incarcerated. We're not saying that the other family members are incarcerated. No, we're saying they're doing time.
Yes.
And there's a difference. When you're doing time, it's going to be, it's different, but you are certainly impacted and certainly affected by your loved one, especially if it's your father or your husband that is incarcerated. It's going to impact your life greatly. So no, you're not incarcerated with them. You're not behind bars, but you are doing time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nathan, what's on your heart?
Yeah, I agree so much with what was said in the last two callers, Curtis and Rashid. I think they said a lot. I think, you know, we do have that prison industrial complex that's a problem. You have for-profit prisons that are in the United States, which in and of itself is problematic. That in and of itself is a problem, because you do get situations like that judge, or I think there was a couple of judges that were sentenced for years. They were getting kickbacks from for-profit prisons to give, you know, young Black kids primarily these super long extended sentences, these very, very harsh sentences, send them to jail to fill beds so that there can be profits. So yeah, I would agree also with Rashid that we can't just assume that because someone is behind bars that we know their situation, we know what put them there, we know what type of person they are. We have to be careful with labels. Once you stamp that label of criminal on someone, just because they're behind bars, there's a whole lot that comes with that. And you can justify all kinds of things that dehumanize that person and treat them as an other, as if there's something other than a human like you or me, that has a story and a heart and a mind and a purpose and a destiny from God, that, you know, someone that was made in God's image. And I think what I really want to say is I want to draw attention to that passage in Matthew chapter 25, where Jesus is, you know, separating the sheep from the goats at the judgment day. And he is saying, you know, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me to drink. When I was naked, you clothed me. And he says, when I was in prison, you visited me. When I was in prison, you visited me. And that's Jesus saying that I identify so intimately and personally with those who are incarcerated, that when you visit them, I receive it as you visiting me. Like I myself was in prison. And they were saying, Lord, Lord, when have we seen you in prison? When did we see you behind bars? And he said, well, if you did it unto one of the least of these, my brothers, if you did it unto one person that's a part of the human race, you did it unto me. And that's the degree to which Jesus identifies with those who are incarcerated, with those who are marginalized, with those who are in need. And I think when we respond with that same level of empathy and perspective and compassion, not only are we helping to heal and mend brokenness within the human family, but we're also doing it as unto the Lord. And the Lord sees that as service unto him, and he sees that as you actually caring for him. And so we have to think about that. We have to think about how are we viewing people that are criminals behind bars? Because are we seeing them as Christ? Are we seeing this as an opportunity to show love and to show mercy and to serve Christ by how we see those who are currently in prison or in jail?
Absolutely, absolutely. We got another caller from the 561 area code. 561 area code. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm Grace Perry Canton from Eustis, Florida.
Hey, Grace, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Hey, doing well, doing well. We're asking a question. If someone is incarcerated, who's actually doing the time? Is it just that person that's incarcerated, or is it in essence the whole family?
The whole family, because he is not there and they're not where he is. They are divided, and it affects all of them. You see, and it affects them differently. Some children, especially males, have a tendency to follow into the father's footsteps. So, unless he is there, this often prevents the male children from getting in trouble. That's why he's head of the household, see? But by the same token, the female is carrying on while he is away, and it is very difficult for her not to have a head of the household. And very often the male child will assume that role, especially if he's like in middle school or something like that. And it just, it goes on from there. By the same token, she is without honor as his wife, and she needs him in the home and everything. So I think often they should think about all these things before they're wound up in some things. And they're not always guilty. Sometimes they are innocent, but by the same token, it is his responsibility to stand at the head of a household, and he should think about these things before he gets involved in anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. 678-381-1973, 678-381-1973. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input. 678-381-1973. Y'all do something for me. Everybody that's on here or people that's tuning in, share the broadcast on your social media. Take 2 minutes, half a minute, 30 seconds, whatever it is, and share the broadcast. We want to make sure that everybody hear what we're talking about tonight. Let me go to
hey, Raheem, may I add something right quick?
I was just gonna call your name, brother. What's on your heart?
I was just thinking about something too, man. And it's something that I was telling my son about as well. One thing about it, I think Curtis kind of alluded to it. I can't remember right offhand because he said a lot and it was so profound too, and a lot of stuff he's saying. But also, we know that in the United States we live in a capitalist society, so it's about money. So once you get caught in the jail system, they're gonna milk you for everything you got. They're gonna be trying to get your money, and that's why I always try to encourage them. I said, man, you got to. Don't get caught in the system because it's hard to get out of it when it comes down to finances. And that affects the family too, because the family got to come up with money to try to help bail you out, got to help do this, paying for lawyers, the whole nine, man. So that's why it's so important to stay out the system, because it becomes a financial burden as well. And that affects the whole family. So it's so key that affects them. Because we live in a capitalist society, man. This thing is about money in the United States. And you got to be real careful with that. That's just my take on that, man.
Good deal. Good deal. We're going to keep this thing going. We got 2 more minutes before we move to our next square. And she will tell us to stay right here. He ain't saying that. Good deal. Let's go to Donna. What's on your heart? Tucson, what's on your heart, brother?
You know what? When Nathan was talking, what I thought about, we're going to suffer from this, from acting in the ministry of it's not me. It don't pertain to me, so I don't have nothing to do with it. And you know, because okay, we're talking about this lady. We don't know her, but we should be concerned because evidently she's going through something.
Mm-hmm.
She's a part of that.
Mhm.
And just because I don't have a child that may that's in prison or in jail, should I not be concerned with somebody that's in jail or in a nursing home that are homeless or that are in naked or hungry or whatever the case may be? We gonna suffer from that type of actions, because what Nathan said is we're gonna stand before Christ and we're gonna ask him, what you mean? What you mean I didn't go and I didn't do that? Well, when you did that unto the least of them, you did it to me. So we have to be concerned with more than what we got going on. I mean, it's good to go to church. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. But there are some ministries that we need to be involved in that has nothing to do with them four walls.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's true.
Did anybody get an opportunity? Look at Sheet over there. Anybody get an opportunity to share the broadcast? Share the broadcast, y'all. Everybody share it on your social media. Take a couple of seconds, just share it. We're gonna go to our second square. And our second square is we might get two more squares in here. We might not. It depends on where we are. But Sheet, I'm coming to you with this right here. And I'm gonna ask you the question. What is an African American? What is an African American? Sheet, what is
you
an
came
African?
to me first the last time. You came to me first 2 times in a row, man.
Hold on, that's too
I gotta
much.
kick it off with this.
No, that's too much. You hold on for a second, brother. I'm gonna go to somebody else. Jamie, Jamie, what is an African American?
Raheem, I have had a comment there that I had a comment, and you're going to end it, and now you want to come back to me and ask me a question. You
got a comment?
bad and poorly today, but I'm gonna go ahead and deal with that. No, my comment. Well, I am gonna make my comment, then I answer. But my comment was on the fact of we quoted some scripture concerning why a person should go, but I wanted to throw some other scripture in there where Jesus was ministering, and they came and said his mother, his brother, and his sister was waiting to see him, and he did not alter what he was doing, and he sent them a message that his mother, his brother, and his sister were those that was there with him. So when we're gonna look at the word, we need to kind of get it in its entirety. So those individuals that are dealing with that, it's enough that they have to deal with the indecision and their own emotions, but we want to give them a whole picture so when they make a decision, they know they're not going to hell because they did or didn't. They just can choose rightly and what's in their heart. So I think they need a good picture of that. Now to answer your question, go ahead.
That's sticky there, Jamie. That's
I know, and that's why I said that, Raheem. But minus that stickiness, we would have only had that one side that you presented. I like the sticky because when you can stick to something, versus being repelled by it.
Now, what is an African American? I've never seen it written with Chinese American or this American or that American, but what is an African American?
Well, actually, Raheem, there are those names, Chinese and all that, because when you go and look for it, they actually have those classifications. But it's someone that supposedly has a dual ethnicity. I probably didn't say that word correct. But if you're African and you're here in America,
you too fancy now. You too fancy. Go ahead.
If you're African and you're here in America and you got this love for America, well, I ain't going back to Africa. I was born here in America. Well, they dub you African American. And on the other side of that, if you have this love for your homeland, hold on, Raheem, let me give you the other half of this.
Let me ask you a question before you do that. When you say that Chinese American stuff like that does exist, are those ones that was actually born here in America, or those ones that came from China to America and they're deemed Chinese American?
They were probably born here, but Raheem, how many of us black people today weren't born here in America?
A lot.
So that title would fit us all.
There's black people born all over the world, brother.
Yeah, that's true. There's Chinese people born in China, but they ain't calling themselves African American.
But my thing is,
Chinese American.
Why are we the only one on the forefront that has the title African American? Why does and
Raheem.
that's my question. It's real
Raheem.
simple.
And the answer
Mhm.
is even simpler. If you were
Mhm.
born here and you have African descent and you have a citizenship that says you were born in America, that's an appropriate term, African American. I have a daughter that was born in Germany.
Mhm.
She's an American German by the fact that she was born in Germany.
Okay. Okay. Don, what's on your heart, brother? What do you say to that? Yeah. Don, Tucson, I feel the same way, brother. I feel the same way. Yes, sir. Don, what's on your heart?
Well, yeah, an African American is a black person, a person with African descent who is actually born here in the United States of America. Now you have to understand why that name is as it is. So many times we've had pejorative names. We call the N-word most. We call then they kind of smoothed that out to Negro, and then we went to colored. And so these were terms. The purpose of these terms were to make to change the pejorativeness or find a label that might be suitable and amenable to black people. So that's where the term comes from. Now, I don't know what more to say about that other than an African American is a person of African descent who was born in the United States of America.
Wow. Okay, we're getting some feedback on somebody's line. Everybody mute your line if you're not. Yeah. So Don Toussaint, talk to me. What is an African American?
A person that let anybody call them anything they feel like.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, man. We all African Americans. Everybody.
Explain it to me.
Because everybody come from the motherland. I mean, somebody gave us that title. And we fell into it. Just like they called us, the N-word. Then they made it Negroes. And then they made it colored. I'm neither. You're not gonna give me a name. I'm not African American. I know I'm dark skinned, but I don't know I don't know I don't know nothing about Africa. What I know about Africa. And I understand. But there's some other folks that come from Africa that's pale. I'm just saying. But people, it's me. Yeah, well, Nathan, I'm sorry, Nathan. Nathan, looking at that, pointing you out, calling you out. But look, I'd say it's a person that allows people to call them what they want. That's my answer.
Okay, Mary, what is an African American, Mary?
I don't want to speak on this one.
Okay. I figured, but I had to come to you. Grace, let me hear your heart. What is an African American?
I had to unmute myself so you can hear me.
Yes.
An African American is someone of African descent. The other names were actually given to us, but the majority of the people of Negroid background preferred African American because the other names had been given them. You see? So they did descend from Africa. They were born in America. They're African Americans. That's all I know.
Okay, that's good. Curtis, what do you say to that? What is an African American?
Well, Ms. Grace just pointed out a very, 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 very true statement. She just pointed it out. The African American label is the first label that was defined by people of color in this country.
Exactly.
every other label given to us was assigned by those.
That's exactly right.
Masters. So it is the first defining definition that was given by its own people.
That's true.
Donald said something that is very, very true, that some folks will tell you is the carryover of Aaron's tribe being upset. See, when we talk biblically, a lot of times we'll I ain't gonna say we, but a lot of times certain folks will run over certain scriptures in the Bible that clearly tell you what color these people were in the Bible. If you was to read the curse of Aaron and the 7 days, it might have been 7 days or 7 years that him and his wife had to live in the wilderness, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But Donald's premise is spot on, because the Caucasian American, which is the term I like to give to them. I learned something in Germany that blew my mind, and I asked several people and nobody could ever answer me. I asked those people, I said, why is it that we're called African Americans and our Caucasian counterparts are called Americans? Do you not think that causes a division amongst the masses who are looking at us? Because I can't say I'm an American. I have to say I am an African American. When the truth be told, we are all African Americans, everybody in this country. The oldest fossils found of man was found, the oldest fossil found of the humanoid species was a woman. Her name was Eve. They know that she was black because she had an extremely high content of melanin in her bone, which is how they can tell you what color you are if you have decomposed and the only thing left is your bones. So the diaspora of the African people goes back to what we call the Great Migration, which came from the Nile River. It came out of the Nile, and the folks traveled north. And once they got north to a point, they decided to either go east and or west. During that time, I think it's called the Great Mammoth, the Great Straits. At that time, the earth was connecting what we would call the British colonies and Spain to what we would also call Canada and the upper half of North America. In that migration, they walked across, and the diaspora of the African people just spread out over the world.
Good deal.
So,
Good deal.
But when you say African American, I don't mind saying it because I know my family's history.
Exactly.
I know that we were slaves. I know where we came from, so I don't really mind it. I'm glad that the forefathers before me, I thank God that they got the right and the respect enough to choose a term that better painted our past, their present, and our future.
Good deal. Good deal. Got to keep it moving, Curtis. Let me go to Nathan. Nathan, brother, I didn't know you was African American, brother.
Yeah, apparently I learned that today. Learn something every day.
Go ahead.
You know, I think this is a really complicated topic, and I think I don't see myself as an expert on this topic or even qualified to really speak to all of it, but I would say that we do know that labels have seemed to change over time. Some were given, some were taken by people, some were embraced by people. I think, and I could be wrong about this, but I think even in like our present day right now, we're witnessing a shift from people using African American more as the standard to Black as the standard. So even with Black Lives Matter movements and all the things that we're witnessing, it's not the African American Lives Matter movement; it's the Black Lives Matter movement. So people are using Black with capital B as the way to define that ethnic group, that people group. I think if we were to be consistent and use, if we were to say we were going to use African American for people of African descent, then we would have to use European American for people that are, have European ancestry, and we have to just kind of do that across the board. I think the problem is with white America, and I like to just say white as opposed to Caucasian. I think Caucasian is also a somewhat problematic term when you look at it. But if we're looking at the distinction even between Black America, white America, white Americans, and this is my perspective, my opinion, but I think many of us seem to have this implicit idea that we're the standard, we're like the normal American, we're the normal human being, that type of thing, which is really a problem. Because then you have, okay, well, I'm an American, and then there's the African Americans over there, and you're, so I think someone mentioned that does create a distinction that's problematic, because it's saying that you're the normal American, and then I'm something different, right? So I think we have to be careful with that type of terminology. But it's a complicated subject. All these terms have histories. If you ask, I feel like if you ask a room full of Black people their opinions on these topics, you're going to get a whole bunch of different responses, different answers, because people have different associations with different terms. People hear different things when different terms are used. So I think it's like it's an evolving conversation. It's an evolving dialogue. And it's an important one because it has to do with identity, and ethnic identity, and also how we relate to one another in America, which is, it's an ongoing conversation. So it's complicated.
It is very, but it's a conversation that's uncomfortable in a lot of settings. It's very uncomfortable, but I think it's a conversation that really needs to happen. And I'm glad that we're able to tackle it in the mature way that we're doing it tonight. I definitely appreciate that. Don, what's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, I'm following the conversation, and another thing I think that's really true about everything about labels, all labels, hyphenated labels, are not negative in this country. For instance, if you had a room of Italian Americans, and you asked them the question, would you prefer to be called an American or an Italian American, or a Jewish American, or an American, or a Chinese American, or not? Well, I think it's not so much the label as it is how people are perceived. Anytime, no matter which label you have, if African American is the one that means less than, then you got a problem. And I think that's the problem. I don't have any problem at all being called an African American. But see, I know that more than anything, I know that I'm an American. I was born in America, so I'm an American. But I'm also Black, African American. So I have no problem with that. I have the problem when someone uses that term, no matter how they sweeten it up, or whatever the case may be, and look at me and say, but that's, he's really, less than. And I think that's the issue.
Good deal. Cornelius, what's on your heart, brother?
Hey, couple things, man. I've been listening, and and before I go ahead and end this, Raheem, I got to get back to the grind, man.
Yes, sir.
I guess my surprise never came in.
Well, let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you what it is, man. I'm gonna tell y'all. I spoke to Mike today, and Mike said he was gonna come on tonight with us, and something must have happened and he wasn't able to make it. But I spoke to Mike earlier today.
I kind of felt that. I kind of felt that's what it was.
Yeah. I spoke to him.
Talk good.
You remember Mike Sheet?
And did I will talk later.
Okay.
Let me go and finish talking, and I gotta get back to the grind. Let me say this, man. You know, one of the I don't know how many people seen the Malcolm X movie, and with Denzel Washington. You remember at the end of it, God rest his soul, the dude that the old what's his name that passed away, and he was talking about Malcolm X was an Afro-American, a true African American. You know, and even though he set the Muslim religion, but he was actually born in America. So he made the statement. He's talking about how all of us are African Americans, you know, and then you know how the kids would stand up and say, "I am Malcolm X, I am Malcolm X," in all different types of shades and colors. And it was a statement behind that, what he was saying. And for me, when you fill out applications, I've seen back in the day coming up, it was like black. Now it's African American that you circle to when you go to the DMV or whatever the case may be. So they've changed a lot in a lot of things, you know. But I work with people from Africa, and I called one African guy. I said, "My brother." He said, "You ain't my brother." But the reason why I called him my brother is because I'm looking at Adam as humanity. You know, and I know what's her name brought up Eve. My man Curtis brought up Eve, and it just talks about Adam as humanity, that we all come from the descendant of Adam, which is humanity, where Eve is life. So in that, I don't see it as being a bad thing, because that's what I circle. If I don't see black on the application or something that I'm filling out, I just circle African American, because I don't see no distinction. I just feel that I know I'm black and I live in America, like the brother had just said. So if I'm African American, that's fine by me, you know. But also, you know, who else? Other cultures that deal with this is the Hispanics. You know, they got them. You know, they deal with their own divisions within because they come from all different. They got even their own type of rhetoric of their talking, of type of Spanish and different things like that. And they deal and they look at it down as like you got some from Cuba, you got some from Mexico, and all these different things, and they're different languages, and it separates them in that, and they feel like one culture feels like they're better than the other. So you know, these are the different things that we deal with. But at the end of the day, I know some Africans that's actually from Africa really feel that they're better than the African Americans. They feel that we're ignorant. You know, my wife experienced it all the time in her job. You know, the people that she works with. And that these are the divisions that we deal with within our society, where people don't realize that we all are human beings, and we need to find some type of common ground and unity within under the descendant of Adam, man. And that's where my issue is, far the division is concerned in that. I don't feel no downplay on that, man. So, hey, Raheem, I love you guys, man.
Hey, love you as well, brother. Hey, appreciate you, man.
I've been on here longer than what I was supposed to.
Hey, appreciate you,
love
man.
You, man.
Love you as well. Hey, look here, Mike. He said it was coming, man. So I'm about to call and get back in contact with him and find out what happened, man, because that was the surprise right there.
Okay, sounds good, man. Sounds good.
Good deal.
All right, God bless. Y'all have a nice night.
You too. Jamie, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
You know, I was just listening and I was thinking about something, but what Cornelius just said is very significant. You know, if you don't know your past, the chances are you're not going to have a very good future. But if you know your past, then chances are you will have a much better future. When you look at all the names that our ancestors was called, if you erase any one of those names, and you're erasing a part of your past, and you can't get to where you are unless you come up through all those names, be all those people. If you look at the civil rights movement, where they had the signs around their neck that says, "I am a man," that was the boy that America saw becoming a man. And if you're going to ever give God his true glory and his true victory, then you need to know your victories. And your victories are the things that we're talking about right now. So those names don't disturb me, even in my present. If someone calls me that, I can discern an insult from an inquiry, and I deal with it based on that. But in reality, if we're going to look at our history, we need to know from whence we came, so we can know where in the heaven we're trying to get.
Now, Jamie, I appreciate what you just said, but let me ask you this question though: if from this day forward, every time I see you, I call you Harold. Hey, Harold. and every time I address you, I call you Harold. Are you going to answer or even acknowledge me for calling you Harold when your name is Jamie?
Raheem,
Because
this is my answer, Raheem. This is my answer.
Let me say this to you before
Go
you
ahead.
get the answer to you, because there's something deeper up under the surface, and there's a history to each and every one of us. And if we allow somebody to curve that history, then we've given, I think, too much power to that individual. What you say to that, Harold?
Well, Raheem, it's Jamie, but because I know you was talking to me.
There you go. Bingo.
Hold on, but see, this is the thing. See, somebody gonna be ignorant. Either you for calling me Harold, and I can correct you in your ignorance, or I can play ignorant and not answer. I'd rather you be ignorant, so I'm gonna make the correction here. It's Jamie, sir. Now, what was your question again?
But if I keep saying, but what if I keep calling you Harold, regardless of what you say, regardless of your stance on it, every time I see you, I call you Harold, and you correct me every time you see me, call me something that, my name is Jamie. I keep it takes me to one of my favorite commercials, that Bigfoot commercial. And the lady called, she said, yeah, that's what they're doing, Bigfoot. He looked at his feet and said, Bigfoot, my name is Harold.
And so he corrected her. That makes him more intelligent than she was. When you look at that commercial, who looks like dummy?
Not necessarily because what she was doing, she was calling him Bigfoot because that's what everybody else called him. Nobody else knew his name was Daryl. Everybody called him, when they referred to him, they referred to him as Bigfoot, and that's the name that stuck with him. It wasn't because of the fact that she was ignorant. She was just using the education that she had concerning him, and she called him from that education that she had. That does not mean she's ignorant, brother. I can't say.
Raheem, let me share this with you. If you are ignorant of something, we painted that with a stroke that we see it as an insult. If you are talking to me and you don't know something, you're ignorant of the fact. I'm not saying you're ignorant man, but you're ignorant of the fact. And it's far too often we become offended versus trying to get the knowledge we need so we are not ignorant the next go round.
But listen, now what if every time I go around different people, they call you Harold, and I'm coming to you, I'm calling you Harold because that's what I thought your name was. Not that I'm not ignorant. I'm just saying everybody call you Harold. You answer to everybody by Harold, and so when I see you, I say, "Hey, Harold, what's up?" I try to shake your hand, and you look at me like, "Hold on, brother, my name's Jamie."
But Raheem,
I didn't know.
If I correct you, Raheem, I say it's actually Jamie. I just empowered you now. You know it's Jamie.
So now you got to go to everybody else.
Be ignorant like them, or you can be empowered. Which one you gonna be?
Now you got to go to everybody else and depower them because they calling you Harold too. Harold.
Hey, they're ignorant too.
I got you, man. I got you. Well, Don, what's on your heart? Toussaint can't control himself over there. I can't even go to Toussaint right now. Don, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. Harold acting up, man. Don, I can't hear you, brother. Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay, I got you. I'm back now. A lot of this has to do with the fact of our own self-identity. If we grate every time somebody calls us something different, depending on where we are, that's what we spend our life doing, reacting to what somebody calls us. So a lot of it has to do with knowing who you are, because at the end of the day, that's what really counts, is you understanding who you are. Because generally, people like you were doing your little thing right there, that was an example of what. Well, I'm gonna just call you this because everybody else does. So I can't convince you otherwise. Just so keep on calling me. You see what I'm saying? I can't convince you otherwise. So that's not my job. I'll run out of steam trying to do that. So I have to have a self-identity to know who I am, and and the whole thing somebody mentioned earlier about the whole African American and how Africans have looked down on us, and many times we've looked down on them, and that's part of that whole thing to, separate us from the continents, to separate our understanding. But the fact remained that we were all looked down on because we were Black. And so that's the whole issue here. So whatever the name is, just if you can say Black, African American, Negro, if you can say all of those and mean equal to me, I'm talking about if someone else talks, hey, who would care?
Yeah, exactly. And let me say this,
because the Spanish word Negro is a Spanish word for Black.
Exactly. Let me go back to Jamie. Jamie, my baby girl, she got on me, man. She said, "Don't call that man Harold no more." So she's standing up for you, my baby girl.
Hey, Raheem.
Yes, sir.
It's because she knew that she don't want
Oh,
her
there
dad to
you
look
go.
ignorant.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
don't you call me
thank you,
Harold no
Jamie.
more. And hey, if she wants to show me some respect, so it's Jamie, sir.
Jamie, put some respect on my name. I got you, brother. I got you. Listen, we're going to go to our. Let me do this before I even go to my next square. Let me go to Grace. Grace, what's on your heart?
You didn't go to me at all.
Oh, I'm sorry, She. I come to you next.
Yes, please let him speak.
Okay, go ahead. She passed it. She passed her term over to you. Ain't that what they said in the Senate and all that stuff? Go ahead, brother. She yielded her time. There you go.
Yielded her time. Thank you, Grace. Well, listen, I was actually liking what Jamie was saying until you start calling him Harold, man. Jamie has some good stuff to say. You confused me with that. But hey, listen, before I say what I say, I got a riddle. If you were African before you went into the bathroom, and you were American when you came out of the bathroom, what were you while you were in the bathroom? European.
Stupid.
Look at
that one was for my European American brother over there to the right of me. Hey.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm honored or what.
Did he do it any justice?
Oh,
he did it no justice.
No justice. No, but Nathan is an African American. I love what Toussaint said, man. I've been chewing on that ever since he said it, because technically that's a good point, man. We really did all come from the motherland. All of civilization started there. We all came from Africa. So that is a real good point. I think it's important that we distinguish our ethnicities. I think it's important. Actually, our bishop is doing a series on that, talking about that very thing, and how all throughout the Bible, the Word of God distinguished ethnicities. They would talk about people, and when he would refer to people in the scriptures, it referred to them by their ethnicity. And so I think that it is important that we embrace who we are. I agree that those labels don't make us, but it's good to identify. And I agree with Jamie about the history. I was in a conversation not too long ago, a very, very memorable conversation. It was very powerful that I had a conversation. It was Nathan. It was a white pastor. What was his name again, Nathan?
We'll keep him anonymous.
It was a white pastor, and it was another young lady who will also keep anonymous. And it was so deep. And one of the things that he said, actually him responding to one of the things that the young lady said. And she was talking about how we don't really know. Most Black people cannot trace back their heritage, their family lineage that far. And he was able to trace his family back centuries. But that kind of thing has been robbed from us. We have been stripped from that type of thing through the slave trade. And man, there's so much damage that was done to our people, that it is so critical that we know where we came from, that we know who we are. When you have that identity, when you have that history, it really does impact where you're going. There's a reason why we're in the state that we're in as African Americans or Black or Negro. My personal favorite is colored. Colored. That resonates with no, it doesn't. I'm just joking. But as our people in America, it's no wonder why we find ourselves in this position of disenfranchisement when you consider the history. You know, there's a reason why we're in the state that we're in right now. So, but all of those things are important. We have to identify those items and make sure that there's a pride and there's a power in knowing who you are and knowing where you came from and really advancing yourself and your ethnicity and your people and your culture and being a part. It's like Tucson said. I think it was Don Carlos said, as long as we're all equal, then you know you can call me within. Make sure you put some respect on it. Don't call me that great. Don't be calling me Harold when my name is Jamie. Don't do that. But
okay,
those
Philip.
labels, okay, Ulysses. All right, Ulysses.
Gotcha. Hey, Nathan, what's on your?
How about calling
Richard? Stop it, Richard.
Nathan, what's on your heart, brother?
when you
I think Rashid is really, correct when he talks about that history. I think it's so important. I think part of the reason why there's such an identity struggle and has been over the centuries for Black people in America is because so much of that was stripped and so much of that was taken away. The culture was stripped away, language was stripped away. Even names were stripped away. So the last names that people have today are generally speaking not African last names. They're not last names with African origin. They're names that were imposed upon a people group. And so there's a huge difference between the other ethnic groups that are in this country and Black Americans in this country, in the sense that other ethnic groups immigrated to this country of their own free will. I think for the most part, people came because they had the option to come and they made the decision to come. I think when you're talking about Black America, you're talking about a people who in history were forced to come. They were sold here and taken hostage and put on boats and brought here against their will. So to then try to define, well, who am I in this context, in this country that I didn't have a choice in coming to, I think that is a challenge. And not only contending with those internal identity issues, but then all the identities that have been imposed upon that people group and stamped upon them from the beginning of the nation by the majority. It's a perfect storm for a crisis of terminology, crisis of identity, and crisis of belonging, and all those kinds of things. And I think in some ways, we're still working that out. We're still working out that conversation in America.
Exactly. Now we're ready to go. We got our Bishop is actually on the line with us as well. We're gonna go to Bishop, but we're gonna go to our last square. We're gonna go to our last square. And fellas, I need y'all help on this one. Man. I really do. So, yeah, it may seem the subject may seem a little comical, but at the end of the day, we're gonna help some people if we open up and actually talk about it. Fair enough. Donald Toussaint.
Watch it, Richard.
Donald Toussaint, coming to you first. You ready? Unmute your phone because I don't want you to hesitate. I want you to go right in on this thing. How humbling is it to a man when he's begging his woman down on bended knees?
Ask Keith Sweat. You got the wrong one.
Now, you're down on your bended knees, man, and you're just crying out, "Please forgive me, baby, please forgive me." How humbling is that?
Oh man.
I see Don over there smiling. I'm going to him next. Don, I'm coming to you next. You smiling too much, brother. Go ahead. Give me something, brother. Give me something.
You talking to me?
I'm coming to Don. I'm coming to you next. Toussaint, go ahead. Give me something.
Pass.
You say pass. Go ahead, go ahead, Dawn. How humbling is it when you're down on and baby, please forgive me, baby, please, on bending knees? How humbling is that?
Well, that's pretty humbling.
That's deep.
I think that's more like that's more of an attitude than a position.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's a good point.
Because sometimes, you know, we know how to do stuff. We woo and everything, and sometimes a guy will do that and really not mean it. You know, so if somebody does something like that and really don't mean it, it's really not humbling. You know, really. Because there's a goal inside, there's a goal in mind, you know. But I think what would be far better is for us to be, you know, humble in our true attitude, you know, toward the woman, because whatever got us on our knees, you know, if we're gonna be back on there, you know, in the next couple of days or weeks or whatever, then maybe it's, you know, it's a thing. It's just more of a thing than it is, you know, the real quality.
Good deal. Curtis, what did you say to that? How humbling is it? You're down on bended knees, man. You're begging out, baby, please, baby, please, baby, please. Curtis, how humbling is it?
Well, I think I go into what the brother said. Like, what's your purpose for doing that? Are you really humbling yourself, or you know that's your last ditch effort? But you have to be. There's a certain level of humility and humbleness that has to apply to that. You know, most brothers that I've ever seen in that position, it was a last ditch effort. Really, bruh knew, look, I'm done. I'd have messed up. I'd have dropped the wedding cake. I've never like really seen that type of behavior from anybody that was just trying to get one by.
Trying to run game, huh? Watch this, Bishop. What do you say to that? You're down on bending knees, Bishop, and you baby, but baby, please, baby, please. Bishop, what do you say to that? How humbling?
Well, it's humbling. It is very humbling. Some would go as far as says groveling to beg for forgiveness and or the attention that you desire for the situation. And so I can't say it no greater than that, bro.
Okay.
Say it no greater than that.
Okay. Good deal. Mira, what do you say to that? Oh, Mira said she'll be right back. Okay, let's go to Grace. Grace, what's on your heart? Now, please.
Okay.
But please, go ahead.
Okay. Two things come to mind. First of all, I spent a few years in Africa, okay? And the issue is the African psyche of the man is that of king, like lions in the jungle. They have a tendency to adapt to what they have seen in the wild, the things that animals do. And most animals have leaders of the pack, okay? He will have any number of females, and those are his subjects. That is his psyche. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, he is saying to himself, this is the way it is supposed to be, and yet he would not tolerate that out of his female if she did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because that wounds him. He can't handle it. The
Grace,
second thing that
Grace, am I hearing you?
comes to
Am I
mind
hearing you
is,
say? Am I hearing you say there's a double standard there?
yes,
Okay. Okay.
there is indeed. There has always been a double standard. You see, okay, the lady serves the man. He is king. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second thing that comes to mind is when we know that we have sinned against God, and we humble ourselves and we go to him, we beg him for forgiveness, but he knows before we come to him that we're going to do it again.
Come on.
You see?
Come on.
This is your parallel, okay? So my point is, unless he truly elevates her to a position that she does not have to encounter this, then he will always be going back through the same motions. Forgive me, but I'm going to do it again. You understand what I'm saying? So I think if he would treat her the way he does the European women that he marries, then until he sees her in that light and puts her on that pedestal the way they do over there, then he will always be humbling himself, coming back to her, knowing that he's going to do it again before he asks her to forgive him.
Wow, that's good. That's
That's
good.
exactly right.
That's good. That's good. Oh, hold on, Donna. You throwing in the white towel, brother? Tucson, you throwing in the white towel, brother? I see you with the white towel in your hand. Wait a minute. What you throwing in the towel? What's really going on? Mary, what do you say to that, Mary? I think Mary done stepped away again. Jamie, talk to me.
It's temporary. It's temporary.
I got you. Jamie, what's on your heart, brother?
You know, as I was listening to my sister, and I visited a couple places in Africa, and I guess depending on what part of Africa you go to, you can see different things. Africa is a very big place. So I'm not going to say that she's not correct. But when you go there, they have as many churches, if not more, than we do. And I say that to say this: they are a very religious, and I'll even add spiritual people, depending on where you go. So I can't challenge what she's saying, but at the same time, I will say a lot of the misconception that people have concerning Africa are definitely wrong. Because when I went there, I was really amazed. I was really amazed by some things. But when it comes down to relationships, especially things she touched on, if you look at other countries, we didn't touch on culture and things that are kind of, if you look at the Bible, there are certain things that go back years. We talked about that history and how far people can trace it back. But some of the same things just mentioned were practices. And one of the sad things is we think we have it so well here in the West. And from what I know, I would probably rather be an Eastern-minded man when it came down to my woman and my values, or rather have an Eastern-minded wife than I would a Western-minded one. Because there's a lot of things that we've learned here in the U.S. that is probably the result of why our divorce rate is so high. Our response to it and the mindset of our women. That's not to insult anyone, but I'm just saying there's a big difference.
Am I hearing you say you ain't gonna say no please, baby, please? Is that what I just heard you say? I'm just trying to tie this thing together.
No, Raheem, I actually pulled up something, Raheem, that answers that for you.
Okay, go ahead.
I wrote this thing that said that there's no man so great as a man of greatness, and there's no man so weak as a man who achieves greatness. So when you made the man down there saying baby, 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 my first thought, you may have put too many babies there, but my first thought was this man needs something or this man wants something. How many people today didn't say baby, 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 but every now and then they call him baby, reflecting on the years behind them. So I think that was a strong brother.
There was a strong. Yeah, I'm not saying he's weak. I'm just saying he's in a moment of weakness. Nathan, what do you say to that? Please, baby, please. You gotta stutter a little bit when you say that. You gotta give that stutter in there. Nathan, talk to me.
I'm not sure that I have a comment because I've never personally had that experience. So I've never been in that position. So I was joking in the comments that the time I'm going to be on my knees is when I propose. But
exactly.
But yeah, I think looking biblically, there's the concept of mutual submission in a marital relationship, right? So I think there's the one sense in which the man and the woman are submitting to Christ within one another, and so yeah, I guess if the man is at fault for something, then I don't know about begging, but I think there should be some penitence, there should be some humility, there should be some repentance, and asking for forgiveness and things like that. I wanted to clarify something that was said earlier. I think it may have been Grace, but I think she said, I just want to make sure that I'm hearing this correctly. I think she said something about men getting their psyche from animals. And I just wanted to make sure that I was hearing that correctly.
Grace?
No, I didn't say they didn't get their psyche from animals. They observe animals and adopt a lifestyle as a result, because for centuries, even today, many Africans still live in the bush country, okay? They migrate from the bush to the townships and then to the cities, so that they observe life and they have a tendency to do things that they have observed animals doing. So that my point is, they assume that this is the way they're supposed to set up their families. This is simply the way it is. That's all to it. I guess you could say, I'm looking for a word here. Doesn't come to mind right now. All I know is many of them have the tendency to adopt a lifestyle from what was observed from the animal kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
They feel that they are king. The Lion King.
Hello.
Hello.
Hold on, caller.
Yeah, I would just be curious. I hear what you're saying. I would just be curious to know if there was any specific evidence to back that up. Just because, I've been to Africa 3 times now. Once to Ghana, twice to Zimbabwe. And obviously it's a large continent. There's a lot to learn. I don't know everything about that, but I haven't ever heard that before. In all my studies of Africa, that men are adopting their psyche from observing animals, because that's challenging for me.
I think
around my penis, my balls.
Oh Lord, somebody, we got a prank caller, y'all. I'm sorry about that. But my thing is this right here, and this person trying to call back again. You're not getting through. My thing is this right here. I've seen where people have observed, and I don't know if maybe the word psyche is what's throwing everybody off, but I've seen where people have actually adopted certain things that animals do as a lifestyle. I think Curtis said something a couple of weeks ago on the Morning Glow about if there's a fire. And he could back me up with that. I think it was him. If there's a fire and you're out in the wilderness and you're turned around, he said whichever way the animals run is the way that he's going to run, because they know the terrain. Curtis,
that's right.
Curtis, you remember that?
Exactly.
And so,
good point.
So my thing is, I think we kind of getting caught up on that's the point where she said the word she said psyche. I think we're getting a little too caught up on that part of it, and not that the animals can't teach us. It's certain things that the animals can't teach us. Curtis, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here, brother.
Was that you that said that about the fire and whichever way the animals run is the way that you want to go? Was that you that said that?
That's right.
Okay, let me nip this thing all the way down. If you into movies and so forth and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you in the military history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your greatest trackers and your greatest guys that's out there in the bush with you are the guys that pay attention to the animal kingdom more than everybody else.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
I've seen it was like an interview. It was like a short documentary. And there was a guy, they was interviewing a guy, and the guy was talking about, he was in, oh my God, I can't remember the name of the island when the tsunami hit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
He walked out the hotel, he looked, and he saw all the animals going in the opposite direction away from the beach.
Mhm. Mhm.
So then he said he looked over, he watched the animals run right by him to his right.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he looked over to the left, he noticed that what was the beach wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
He immediately caught the water, the tide. He obviously must have realized that, hold on, that ain't no tide right there. That there ain't no surfing going that way.
Mhm.
So he immediately, instinctively followed the animals. Most
That's
of your
right.
good trackers in the
Mm-hmm.
military, they pay attention to the animal kingdom. And
That's
it
very
ties
true.
into, I'm gonna
Mhm.
go even deeper than that. A good shepherd will always pay attention and listen to his sheep.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Good
No
deal.
such thing as a good shepherd.
Okay.
Because if you ever watch,
Kurt,
if you ever watch a shepherd,
wrap it up, brother. We got 4 minutes. I want to be able to make sure everybody do their
All right.
closing and wrap it up for me. Go ahead, finish your thought.
if you ever watch a shepherd, like when I was in Germany, sheep herding and all that that's like name just anything that we do on a daily and constant basis. Over there, sheep herding is almost like going on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if
It's a
you
way of
watch
life.
him real carefully, if you watch that shepherd real carefully, yeah, he guiding them in a specific direction, but he
Mhm.
knows that there's a leader in his herd.
Mm-hmm.
And if that
That's
leader
right.
stop and post up and look down the valley, if he a
Mhm.
good shepherd, he gonna lead them sheep in a different direction. Why? Because
Mhm.
that animal kingdom just told him, the way you got us going right now, if we go down there, it's a wolf down there.
Mhm.
So it is nothing for man to and we love the old kung fu movies right here. A lot of kung fu is based off of animal protective instincts. The scorpion, the tiger, a lot of those
Mhm.
things.
All of
the
them.
monkey,
Yes.
A lot of those things are based off fighting styles of animals. So we've been doing that for years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Centuries.
Let me go to we got to get out of here. We're gonna do all this right here in 2 minutes. So everybody give me a real quick answer. Nathan, what's on your heart?
Is this just a closing statement?
Huh? No. No.
Oh, you can pass. I'm struggling with the whole thing of I understand that we've learned some things from the animal kingdom, obviously, like flights and planes, looking at birds and things like that. But to make a generalized statement saying that men or even just African men have patterned their marital behavior or sexual behavior or relationships based on what they observed in the animal kingdom, that seems to be offensive in the least, just to put it mildly. But
I don't know it now. Grace, is that what you were saying?
Basically, because that's all they had in the beginning, just them and the animals, and they had to learn how to not just get along with them, but how to fix it so that they would provide food for them. But they learn a lot more from the animals than is written. I'll put it that way.
I think what she's saying is not the marital. I don't think she's saying the marital part and how to conduct with. I don't think I think she's saying the providing part of it, how the animals go out and provide and bring the food back and stuff like that. I'm Don, what's on your heart, Don?
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think to follow up on that just a little bit, I think the whole idea was that it's that kind of like that king of the beast mentality. I think that's really what we're trying to zero in on. That I'm the king. I'm going to be bowed down to rather than bow down to somebody. I think that's the whole. And a lot of times you will find that more in the African culture than you will in African American culture. That's just a fact. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, this is why they have so many wives, because well, not so much today, but in the past. But the issue is they patterned their lifestyle after what they saw in the wild. A male animal will have a number of female subjects. So the men, when they form families, had so many wives. It's that simple.
Okay. Well, look, we got to get on out of here. You okay over there, brother? Tucson.
Huh?
You okay? You okay over there, brother?
What Harold doing over there?
Oh, Harold's
He got a head.
Yeah, Harold holding his head, brother. Harold holding his head. Harold done retired from us for the night, man. Harold has been officially retired of the night.
Night, man. Look, everybody's we enjoyed the panel and every thought we have to take under consideration because we all think different, but we all can pull something out of positive out of whatever was said. I just like having fun, man. The saddest thing I've ever seen was a Christian that can't smile.
Exactly. Now, I'm about to stop. Jamie, I'm coming to you, Jamie. Unmute your phone. Jamie, you there?
I'm here, sir.
My daughter just got on me again because I said Harold, so she told me to apologize to you for calling you Harold, man. She said his name is not Harold. So Jamie, I want my daughter to hear it. Jamie. Listen, look, we're going to get out of here for tonight.
Get on your knees.
Hey, Raheem.
Get on your knees and beg forgiveness.
Raheem, I accept your daughter's apology.
Oh, but not mine, right? Wow. Okay. We're going to get out of here. We'll go around and give everybody an opportunity to say what they want to say in their closing. Before I do that, Bishop, anything on your heart before we get out of here? Bishop, you there? I think we might have lost Bishop. Bishop just hung up. Okay, Mary, in your closing.
Just I know that your name is not Harold, and I love everyone and have a good night.
See what you did, Jamie? You see what you did, right?
Yeah.
Grace, in your closing.
Yes. All you gotta do is do right. You don't have to get on your knees. That's it.
Wow. Okay, doke. We'll receive that Tucson in your closing, sir.
Just don't call me Bubba or Bud, and I'll be fine.
A Cosby reference.
Yeah. Nathan, in your closing.
It was a great conversation with all of you. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoyed it.
Good deal, man. We want to get you back on here next week. We know we're looking for you next week, brother. I'm just throwing it out there. I know you might not be available, but we're still looking for you. Let's keep this thing going. Curtis, in your closing.
Love you. God bless you, and good night.
Good deal. Let me see who else I got here. Let me go to Jamie in your closing.
Yes, I'd just like to say there's been some very serious topic touched on, and some of them was in a very humorous manner. But it all goes back to knowing who you are and where you come from. And once you know that, regardless of who you run into, it does not change who you are. Because when you don't know is where the problem comes in. That's when if you won't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Take time to know your history. It's very important.
That's true.
Absolutely. Don, in your closing, sir.
I just want to say, there are so many facets to a diamond, and I just thank God for the facets that we kind of looked at tonight, and I thank you, God, for you gentlemen as well each week. Thank you very much.
Good deal.
Well, I mean, it's a blessing that you finally came to me, Raheem. I didn't even get a comment in the last square, so I I didn't have too much to say anyway, just because, like Nathan, I've never been on my knees and begged a woman ever in life. So I didn't know anything about that anyway. So the Holy Ghost must have told you that, Raheem. So that's why you didn't know. I get it. Huh?
Please.
Anyway, I mentioned that he's only
Hey.
on his knees to propose. I'd be interested to see when that happens, man, and who that happens with. That'd be great, man. But listen, love you guys.
See Nathan on his knees. Please.
Well, no, the good kind of getting on your knees when you propose. That's when it's really supposed to be done. I love that. I've done that before. So God bless everybody here, man. It's been a blessing as always. And Raheem, be good, man.
I'm trying, brother. I'm trying. I can't even say the H word no more. My daughter, listen, I can't say it no more. But listen, we're going to get out of here. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates to be a part of your evening. Now, if you're not busy tomorrow, make sure you give us a call from 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock. We got what we call Way Out Wednesday. Way Out Wednesday is on the Morning Glow, where you become the boss. You give us a call from 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about and talk about it in its entirety. I didn't say entirety. I said in its entirety. Y'all heard the slang, right? That's how we do it around here. We say entirety. Nathan, go ahead. Nathan, let me hear you say, Nathan, let me hear you say entirety. Say entirety, Nathan. There you go. See, that's how we do it around here. That's how we do it. Listen, it's been great. I love you all. It is now 10:06. You're about to exit Real Men Being Men. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us, because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why, this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug, because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. And we shine some of this light on you from Real Men Being Men. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. I see Tucson over there waving the flag, man. He's throwing it in. He's throwing it in. Y'all have a great night and a better tomorrow. Love you.